Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So I get this question all the time as a Delve player, and there's no like math to this, right? So I've seen people do like diagrams and whatever. Um, whether or not there's a tile set math or whatever, there probably is, but realistically, the way to approach having a Delve node with no path is simplistically what you need to do is just go around the delve node number one and unlock all the area around the node, right? This has a cost to it, obviously. Now, the next step beyond that, it could be many things, right? So it could be, going through here, it could be through here, it could come through here, it could come through like here. Usually it like goes in and curves down. It could also be through here. So the next step is basically then you need to then rerun the nodes and look for any edges or paths that might go into the node. So for example, if I was going here, and the other thing to bear in mind when you're doing this, position relativity, right? So where you are relative to the delve map is where you actually are. So for example, if you're here, right, you would expect to only go right to be able to get to the delve node. That means on here, relatively, there's a pivot shift, I guess, in that direction, but you would expect that it'll only be in this direction or this direction if you're looking for the hidden wall path, right? And so that makes it a little easier to narrow out, okay, so we know there's no hidden wall pathing sort of around about here or here in this direction, so then we'll go to the next node and be like, okay, is there some pathing here? And then we'll basically just follow it around. So I'll find this node and I'll show how I find this node. All right, so as you can see, pretty quickly found it. So yeah, we'll run this back to the main mine camp, and I'll explain a little bit further around, I guess, the logic behind this too. Okay, so as you can see, there's the node. Now, how did I know where it was gonna be? I didn't know where it was gonna be. I basically just looked for any points that could potentially have an entry point, and then assess that. And if I couldn't find a wall that was relative to my position in the delve map, so moving right, I then moved to get the hell out of here. I then basically moved around to the next node until I could find a relative position and an opening. The other thing I also look for, if you notice earlier in the video, and I'll play it and I'll put like a little circle around it, I noticed on my mini map here, or you could have it up like this, however you do it, but I would usually look at this the whole time. What you'll notice is the wall will actually appear on the edge of the map as undiscovered. And if you know that you've discovered everything, for example, down here, and you see wall coming up around abouts in here somewhere, there's definitely an entry point where you can discover where that area is, where that pocket is. Can't get hit. So that's basically the other thing that gave it away. So as I was sort of down here, if I go down here, I noticed, for example, that this was sitting... I noticed that this was sitting up here, and I realized that I hadn't actually discovered that yet. So then my next question was like, okay, what is that attached to? Okay, it must logically be going down in this path here. Anyway, moral of the story. There's no exact science around how to find this. It just takes a bit of gut feel and experience in finding these walls. And you just got to make sure you just understand your relative position so you're not wasting too much time. Now, sometimes I could have went around in a wild goose chase around the whole thing, never found it, but usually it's like curve drop down. It's usually like an L-shaped formation, like in, I don't know, Tetris sort of thing. And then basically, yeah, you'll find it after that. This video is probably not the clearest video, but it sort of articulates, I guess, the logic that I use when I'm looking for hidden paths in Delve. Anyway, Now, the nodes that you should do this on, don't do this on any other nodes, but like Architect right now with Curiosity drops, and also like Crystal Kings, any other node can get knotted. I wouldn't even waste your time on it. It's just not worth enough to the time that it would take to find. It's got to have a bit of a reward to it at the end of the day. Anyway, let's go kill the boss and see if I get a Curiosity and can sell it for 15 div.